You go, boy.
Whoa. Hey, this a vibe, nigga. Whoa. Woo. Secure the bag, I need more. Hey, 3P Jordan. Whoa. Woo. I can't keep it on a low. This a whole vibe. I don't need a plug, no cosign. Thinking out loud, that's a gold mine. Mask on, yeah, COVID-19. Baby mama, yeah, looking like Rihanna. Rest in peace to George, rest in peace Brianna. Still kicking like Van Damme with my niggas in Amsterdam. Hey world, hey world. The dynamic duo has returned. Where's my camera as always? Where's my camera? Hey world. I'm U-Goboy. Welcome to another exciting episode. Episode 9. Wow. Lord have mercy. Woo. Of the U-Goboy podcast. I'm U-Goboy. That's Mongo.
Oh, what's up, world?
The dynamic duo has yet again returned. I mean, we're here for, you see that face, you see my face. That means it's sports talk. We're here for sports talk.
Do it.
Before we begin, as always, big shout out to Bravery Studios.
Yeah.
The home base for holding your boy down is always, it starts here. It always starts here. It starts at Bravery Studios. Lovely Garfield, New Jersey. Shout out to all the subscribers, all the new subscribers, old subscribers, returning subscribers. We're going to skip the numbers. I mean, the numbers are doing great. Actually, I got to tell one number. I mean, we're closing in rapidly at 500,000 viewers on the YouTube channel. Bombs away. Savages away. Can I get some savages?
Savage.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Throb, my boy. The channel's doing well. Content's doing great. Our sports teams have interesting paths right now. We're going to cover that. This is sports talk, so we're going to get into a little bit of everything. As always, buy the merch. U-Goboy merch is available now. Merch away, hats. I'm wearing the exclusive Yahtzee shirt. So you see the yacht in the back, the yacht in the front, the Z's in the back.
Yahtzee.
The Yahtzee shirt is available on the channel, along with the hat, along with the hoodie, along with the other pullover hoodie. We got all types of merch for you guys, so grab yourself some U-Goboy merch in the link below. So, Mongo, we got a lot to talk about.
We have a ton to talk about here. This is what an October, man.
What an October.
That was wild.
As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel. So let's kick things. Where do you want to start? You want to start with some wrestling talk? You want to start with the Yankees? Like where you want to start? I'm gonna leave it up to you.
You know, it's October.
Okay.
It is fall classic o'clock. I think you know where we got to start.
I think so too. So before we get to the Phillies and Astros, they're in the World Series, swinging away, banging away. I think the Astros just had a combined no-hitter.
Yay! Whoopity-doo.
Good for them. I haven't watched a single game. But before we get to that World Series matchup, let's talk about our Yankees. So you do your CM Punk pipe bomb. I'll do my CM Punk pipe bomb. You know, Phil Brooks he's not wrestling these days, so he's at home in Chicago watching.
All right, pipe bomb off. I like that. Let's
for sure.
May the best pipe bomb win.
For
I
sure,
like that.
For sure. So you kick things off. This Yankee season, sum it up in words or in your thesis, however you want to break it down.
So I'm gonna just say good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Time with Mongo. Today, we are going to take a look at a specific type of story, a narrative. Can you say narrative, boys and girls? And of course, I'm not going to keep this creepy voice going the whole time because, boy, howdy, would that have been fun. But all I have to say is, before we look forward, because I know the question everyone is tuning in is, where do we think Aaron Judge is going? And we'll get there. Mm-hmm. But I need to fix 3 narratives here real quick. The first is this narrative that this is now year 13 of swinging and missing for the Yankees. It is not. Yes, it's been 13 years since their last World Series, but the divide line is 2017. It was 7 years of some of the stupidest baseball decisions you've ever seen. It was 7 years of overpaying Jacoby Ellsbury. Mm-hmm. It was 7 years of using the ghost of Brian Roberts for whatever you could. It was 7 years of watching Jeter and the guys get older. Then in 2017, that's when we start to see Aaron Judge make his appearance, Gary Sanchez, the young guys, and now it's been 6 years of trying to actually develop from within. And that is going to take some time because it's not just Aaron Judge was good, Gary Sanchez is bad. I know that's what we look at, but don't forget, you had the Greg Bird fiasco. You tried Tyler Austin, that didn't work. Miguel Andujar. We've had some adventures along the way. So it's only really been 6 years of trying this build from within thing. And so this 13 years of failure thing, no, stop that. It was 7 bad years and now 6 years of traveling in the right direction. Okay. The second narrative that I need to fix here is this idea that the Yankees just got their heads handed to them. We just saw in the World Series, Lance McCullers is literally there to give away a game. He's there so that the Astros can keep their 1, 2, and 3 in the right order. Yeah. So Game 4 was supposed to be a cupcake for the Yankees, but they came into it disheartened, down 3-0, and they could have cared less. They were a few Severino bad pitches away from winning Game 2.
Exactly.
So if they win Game 2, they win Game 4 because the Astros are willing to give away that game. And I'm not saying the Yankees win the series, but Astros in 6 feels a lot more comfortable than Astros in 4. And so they were only a few pitches away from doing that. So this we're miles behind them thing nonsense, that has to go. And then I'm sorry, Yankee fans, you need to hear this. The third narrative you're ignoring, it's time to admit the Astros, as they stand right now and through their current contracts, are a dynasty. Yeah. It is time to face facts. Until Bregman, Altuve, and all those contracts expire in 2025, we are the Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner Mariners. We are the Giambi A's. And that's okay. Those were good teams. You look back now and say those were good teams. In 2040, this team will be the team that just was the leg behind the Astros. And that's okay. But when you're looking at what do we do next, you just have to accept where we are, and where we are is the team that's not the dynasty.
Oh, yeah. Can I get some Dom DeMarcos? A bunch of Dom DeMarcos. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I mean, your point, perfect segue into my pipe bomb. Where's my camera? Straight CM Punk style. My biggest issue with the Yankees versus Astros narrative right now is, I love this analogy. The Astros are using Bluetooth and streaming. The Yankees are using compact discs. All right, they are so far behind the curve. Jesus Christ! Interesting stat here, because I love stats. I love tables. I love bar graphs. I wish you guys can see this. Maybe I'll share it on TikTok. So, the most recent hire for the Houston Astros in their front office. Let's just stick with that. Sarah Goodrum, as well as Scott Powers. Scott Powers is the assistant general manager. Sarah Goodrum is the leader of player development. Both were hired in 2022. This year. You want to know the Yankees' most recent hire, Mongo? Kids, boys and girls at home? Their most recent hire, vice president of player development, Kevin Reese. That was in 2007.
Can you say antiquated, kids?
Just 2007. Now, granted, 2 years later, we won the World Series, our last World Series. But your most recent hire was 15 years ago. So it just goes to show you that they are old. They are antiquated. They are behind. The Astros have a better front office. The Astros have a better player development. The Astros have better managing. The Astros have better players. The Astros have a better farm system. The Astros are a better organization. And you would think a team with the biggest payroll in God's green earth, especially in baseball, we can afford to buy those things. But no. They are stuck in the A-track. They're stuck on vinyl. They still think that Kevin Reese from 2007, not to mention Brian Cashman was hired in 1986. I wasn't born. Mongo wasn't born. Lord have mercy. They are so far behind the curve, it is laughable. And that's why they can't beat the Astros right now. They're the Flintstones going up against the Jetsons. It's that simple. It's that simple. Can I get some savages, please? Savage away. Savage away.
Savage.
It sounds like you're on an elevator, and savage is what's available on that floor. Fourth floor. Savage.
Yes. So I mean, yeah.
But no, I'm with you 100%. Except for you could make a case for farm system, and depth is a different question. But when you again, statistics, for those of you who don't know, my thing is always, I'm a math teacher, and my thing is always take the statistic you want, abuse the heck out of it. You can find a certain line, maybe top 9, top 12, somewhere in there is a point where the Yankees are better than the Astros if you don't run it down to the core. And so, we saw that start to make an appearance again this year, especially with Peraza and with Cabrera. But over the last handful of years, they've started to be willing to dive into there. We saw them, it's my monthly time to bring up Luis Heel, Clark Schmidt, Michael King. They're trying to dive in, and I appreciate that. But it's not like they've been doing that for very long. When you look at other teams that have been doing that for literally decades, if not, some teams always go from within. They've been doing it for literally centuries. So you got to give the Yankees a little time here. But to your point, you're absolutely right. Maybe do that with guys who would be willing to do that, not guys who we know. All we know about the current regime is that they want to go out and buy. Yeah. We don't actually know what they can do with an internal system other than Cashman and the few absolute old guys who were there in the 90s. But if you came in between like 97 and 2007, you inherited that team, and you have always been taught just buy the rest of your problems away.
Agreed. And there's enough blame to go around. Okay, like I still want to go a little bit to. We could go to Aaron Boone with taking out your ace pitcher with your season on the line for Luis Trevino, your guy. We could do that, or we could go back to. Can I get a savage for that, please? Lord have mercy, that was a dumb move. But we can go to Brian Cashman because we don't need Bryce Harper. We don't need Carlos Correa. We've got Josh Donaldson.
Whoops.
And IKF.
Whoops.
Wow. That's a 36-year-old Josh Donaldson. And how many times did he strike out on fastballs down the heart of the plate? And he was laughing. He was laughing on his way to the dugout. I know you saw it because I texted you about it. Josh Donaldson and IKF, they're not solving your issues. And you mentioned it before with the outfield situation. Yeah, Jacoby Ellsbury, who's out of baseball. Brett Gardner, who's out of baseball. And Aaron Hicks was who we talked about on the last Sports Talk, was a colossal failure. You chose that over Bryce Harper. How's that working out for you? How's that working out?
Poorly. I'll answer that. I'll answer that question for all of you at home. If you're not answering that question with poorly, you are way too in love. You are way too dedicated to the Yankees. And as a Jet and Knick fan, I appreciate where you're coming from. But this is the team we're allowed to be honest about because this is the team that can actually do something. Cashman, antiquated is the word I use, but we also know he can get it done. When left to his own devices. And unfortunately, it seems like more and more we're in on the numbers, right? We look at IKF, we look at what he can do defensively, we look at what he can do with his feet. No one said, can he actually swing a bat and have the ball go forward more than 25 feet? And maybe we should have done that. That seems pretty obvious in hindsight.
Just saying.
And so, unfortunately, Cashman might be a dinosaur in today's world. And if he is going to coexist with this world, he needs better people around him, newer people around him, like you said, because this idea that, we can learn on our own is not true. I want you to envision anyone above the age of 50 you've ever seen try to use any piece of technology for the first time. Welcome to Brian Cashman trying to GM the 2022 Yankees.
Yeah. Brian Cashman still has a flip phone. He still has a Razor. All right, and the Astros front office, they've got Galaxies. They've got the iPhone 14. He's over here still messing around with a rotary, like that. This is. For this payroll, this is laughable. It is very, very embarrassing. And I'm actually glad they got swept. Maybe this is the wake-up call necessary. And miss me with the whole, they got to sign Judge. And if they sign Judge, there's no more pie to go around. Straight Stephen Jones. Let's take it to football. Like, no. There's no salary cap in baseball. Mm-hmm. You can sign Judge. You can sign Correa. You can sign whoever the hell you want. You really can. Are you afraid of losing your prospects? You can die on that hill. And they died on that hill for sure this season, especially at the trade deadline. We talked about that a couple sports talks ago. Right. But this whole narrative that you can't pay Judge, and you can't pay this guy or whatnot, maybe with a Soto coming in as we talked about, but no. Look at the Dodgers. They gave Freeman all the money in the world. They gave Betts all the money in the world. They've got Kershaw, who's making all the money in the world, and they're just fine. Yeah, they didn't do much in the playoffs this year, but you can pencil them in from 100-plus wins probably for the next 3 to 4 years with the way that they're set up. You should be able to do that with the Yankees because outside of them in the American League, it's the Astros, and consistently, who else? You know what I mean? So they deserve this. They deserve the sweep. I'm glad they got the sweep. I'm happy. I'm like, maybe this is what they need.
But here's the thing. You just said that they're always going to, or they should always be in that top 2 or 3. And unfortunately, Yankee fans, this is where your, fanaticism, and I know I'm making up a word there, comes in. I compared them to the Buhner Griffey Mariners before. If you told a Knicks fan right now, hey, your next 10 years are going to be like that of the Pacers in the late 90s, early 2000s, where you're going to win 50 games and go to the second or third round of the Eastern Conference every year, a Knicks fan would say, absolutely, sign me up for that. If you told a Jet fan, hey, you're going to basically be the Eagles for the next 10 years, you're going to have a couple bad years sprinkled in there, but you're going to make the playoffs a lot, you're going to make one run. Yeah, the Jet fan would take that in a minute. The problem is the Yankee fan is the only fan around who says World Series or bust, championship or bust.
Right.
And so when you're analyzing what to do next, you're not playing for how do we get close, because they got close. It was ugly at the end, but they were one of the last 4 standing. And so the easiest thing to do is just say, and we're going to re-sign you, and we will see you losing to the Astros every October until 2025.
Savage, please.
That's not what we're doing here as Yankees fans. That's not what we're doing as the Yankees organization. And so that's really the question. How do you make that final jump? Because it's very easy to just say, we're the Yankees, we're good, but who deserves a cupcake for that? They've been good for 30 years. That's nothing. You need to get back to that absolute, top hill.
Absolutely. So I'm interested to see how this offseason goes. And it's funny, baseball is one of those few sports that, you'll have some outliers. Like the Phillies are on this run right now. They barely got into the playoffs, and they go on a run. That happens in baseball. It doesn't typically happen in baseball.
But happening more recently.
But happening a lot more recently, especially with the changing of the format of the playoffs that we lamented about last Sports Talk or whatnot.
Right.
But what I'm saying is this offseason is going to tell me a lot. If they're aggressive, if they keep Judge, and then they make aggressive signings, aggressive trades to complement the Judge. Because if the Judge move is all they make, you can pencil them into losing to the Astros or losing in a divisional round against the Guardians, who they barely got out of. That took them 5 games. So what they do in the offseason, it is going to tell the story of how far they go next year. Because right now, as they're currently constructed, same bat time, same bat channel. I don't see them better than the Astros right now. I just don't.
And now I do have to ask here. Mm-hmm. You're Cashman. Are you re-signing Judge? Because I have a pigeonhole take on this. I'm gonna warn you right now. I'm not gonna answer the question honestly. Are you? But I'll ask you honestly. Are you re-signing Aaron Judge?
I re-sign him with a caveat. That can't be the only thing I do. Okay. That can't be my boom or bust. Because if I have a contingent, and most GMs do, they have a contingency. Okay, if we don't sign him, what are we gonna do? You know what I mean? I think they have both plans in place. We sign him. What are we going to do else to catch this team in Houston that is just better than us? If they don't sign him, they better sure as hell have a plan in place of, okay, are we going after Correa? Are we trading for somebody? What's next? Because if you don't sign him, the hole that is left in your lineup, as currently constructive, is massive. I mean, he's a massive man, but just massive, just figuratively from a numbers standpoint. So I say yes, but that's not the only move I'm making. I'm signing him with in mind, I've got a lot of stuff to do to catch that team in Houston because I'm not better than them right now.
And that leads perfectly into what I was going to say here. And I don't believe, if they re-sign Aaron Judge, I do not believe they will do anything else. They have made it clear Aaron Judge, like you said, he gets the pie or other people get the pie. And so the bottom line is, with Aaron Judge, they are not winning until 2026, when Bregman and Altuve and a bunch of other guys in Houston finally come off the books. And so the only way, that years 8, 9, and 10 of a Judge contract would be a waste. So the only way you can re-sign him and have more than half the contract be valuable is if it is exactly a 7-year contract. Because if it's a 9-year deal, the next 3 years, you're just chasing Houston. The last 2 years are a waste. Why would you sign a guy for 9 years when 5 of the years are simply a circus? It doesn't make sense. So here's what you do, Yankees. I hope you're listening. I don't know why you would be, but bravo if you are, Brian Cashman. Here's what you do.
Bob's away.
Here's what you do. You offer Aaron Judge your 7-year deal, put as much money out as you want on it, literally make up a number, give him a blank check if you want. and say, you got 5 minutes, sign it or don't. And if he doesn't want that, you make it public right away that Aaron Judge is not coming back. Because when you look at the other teams that are in on Judge, the Giants, the Dodgers, the Mets, Edwin Diaz is a free agent, Kershaw's a free agent, Trey Turner's a free agent. I know you're all going to laugh at me for this, but Jock Peterson on the Giants plays all 3 outfields, left-hander who hits a ton of short field home runs, would be perfect in Yankee Stadium. If you put Judge out there and you can immediately rattle those 3 organizations' plans, now Diaz goes on the back burner. Now Kershaw gets forgotten about, Turner gets forgotten about, because they're all going to make Judge their number 1 priority. You can steal a ton of top free agents very quickly from those teams. So you make your initial offer, but you do not let this linger. You do not turn this into a bidding war over 8 or 9 years. That would be the one that I would consider an absolute failure for the Yankees if he signs with them late in the season, late in the offseason, no matter what happens.
Oh, absolutely. The Dom DeMarcos, we can make this whole episode a Yankee pipe bomb, but I think we succeeded. CM Punk would be proud.
Let's move it on. Speaking of CM Punk.
Yeah, speaking of CM Punk. Hey, Phil. By the way, like the video, subscribe to the channel. U-Goboy merch again, once again. The Yahtzee shirt is here. The Yahtzee shirt's here. Hats are here. Hoodies are here. Grab yourself some merch. As always.
I love it. I'm going shopping right after
this. For sure.
Got
to. It's right there on the store.
Right
in the store. And I wore this shirt in my newest video, Tippin', which is also on the way. I saw the first cut last night. Woo! You guys are going to love that, man. Shout out to A1 Vision, man. The GOAT. Did it again. All right, so let's get to some wrestling, and then we'll wrap up with tons and tons of football talk. So Triple H is on fire. He's in his duffel bag. As always, it's bag season. I mean, it's almost Christmas, but he's in bag season right now. He's brought back, he brought the band back together. He's brought back Bray Wyatt, Johnny Gargano, his lovely wife, Candice LeRae, Karrion Kross, his lovely wife, Scarlett, Braun Strowman. Lord have mercy.
As he would say.
I can hear his theme music in my head. Country Strong. He's got that tattoo going. Triple H has brought the band back together, a bunch of releases that had no business of happening. I'm sure Vince is probably not even watching wrestling. He's probably
he's got way bigger things to worry about.
He's got other legal issues brewing. So, but Triple H has brought the band back together. Let's start with Bray Wyatt, and then we'll get to the others. The way they brought him back was masterful. The way they teased it for weeks was masterful. He is one of the most interesting characters, well-crafted characters. I mean, his father was IRS for the super old heads back in the day. Gonna get savage for that.
Savage.
But Bray Wyatt coming back in the way he came back, I feel like they packaged that masterfully. I'm glad he's back. He always did great work on the mic. His storylines were so captivating. I loved his character. He's always been one of my favorite characters in the ring and off the mic. So, what are your thoughts on Bray Wyatt coming home?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, no brainer amongst who to go get. No matter what role he was playing, the creepy Southern thing and the Funhouse thing, you could not have more different characters, and he nailed them both. You can put him anywhere. His versatility is otherworldly. In terms of the return, first of all, because he had the Wyatt family, that's basically a free pass to say, hey, fam, come home. He starts a chain reaction, and, Strowman, we don't know if he's going to be part of that yet. The big rumors that there's going to be a Wyatt 6 that fights at Survivor Series. We'll see where that goes, but he's a very key cog. Now, in terms of the actual return, I absolutely love what they did with his characters from the Funhouse being in costume there. Literally sending a message that this character is coming back to life. Literally, birthing those characters was a very, obvious in your face, but still fun message. I love that they were using the barcodes that you could go online and follow, because that's just Triple H's little subtle way of saying, welcome to the 21st century, wrestling. Nice of you to join us. So that was very nice. And then what I also love that he did was he made some of the other returns, which will segue into some of those, stupidly simple to make Wyatt's puzzle feel like more like and Strowman just came gangbusting into a tag team. He had no right being there. He just came blasting in, destroyed everybody, which in fairness made sense. That's Strowman's style. But by making some of the returns so simple, it made Wyatt's puzzle. I'll use that word.
Yeah.
So much more enjoyable.
Yeah, and bigger,
it was just,
and
it
bigger.
Was, yeah,
and bigger.
it was beautifully done. I loved everything about that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And Johnny Gargano has been one of my favorites for quite some time. The guy, his ring work is world class. I loved his The Way stable that he had going with Austin Theory and just that whole crew. So I'm glad that he's back, and I expect great wrestling when I think of Johnny Wrestling. Is such a fitting name for him because he is just a great pure wrestler, and I'm still a fan of that. I mean, there's a reason why Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time, because he's the best technical pure wrestler of his era. I mean, did he have the biggest character, and was he the most charismatic on the mic? No, he was just cool with those shades and the pink and black. And when he got in that ring, he was safe. Nobody got hurt when they worked with Bret. And everything was just done so precisely. And I get that vibe when I see Gargano. I see a little bit of Bret, and I see a little bit of Shawn Michaels too. Because Shawn had that. Shawn was very technically sound, but the athleticism was otherworldly. But again, everything was just perfectly and crisp. That's why I'm so excited that he's back. And with Karrion Kross, total package.
Yeah,
total
absolutely.
package. And he's got his hair back too. And Scarlett's gorgeous, and that dynamic of them together. We talked about this before of when it was being teased that he might go over to AEW. That's a package deal. You have to have them together.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't have them separately because they work. It's a yin and a yang. When you see him, where's Scarlett? You see Scarlett, where's Cross? You know what I mean? So I love that they brought him back. And, I think this Roman Reigns championship reign is going to last another 5 years, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But him in the top spot is good. Good money right there.
And two quick points on what you just said. That group that you just mentioned, they particularly hurt when they left because, in other sports you call them prospects, but as much as they tried to make NXT feel like its own entity so they could build up Triple H's, clout, the NXT is still the minor leagues to longtime wrestlers.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so when Gargano left, that felt more like you were losing a prospect. That felt like we never got to see him on the big stage, see what he could do. Wyatt had run his course, Strowman had run his course, and we missed them. I'm glad to have him back. But those guys hurt more, so I'm super, super glad that they're back for sure.
Yeah, and remember, Gargano left, and Cole and the whole Undisputed Clique, they had just left before that,
Right.
and to go over to AEW. So but I love what NXT is doing now. Carmelo Hayes, huge fan of his. Super superstar potential with him in the future. Braun Breaker, he looks just like his dad. He wrestles just like his dad, and I love it. I love it. I love him. I love a lot of the new prospects they have in NXT, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they figured it out. You know how to not just it's the minors, but still keep it fresh, keep it dope, keep it authentic, and get these girls and guys ready for the big leagues, which is going to happen. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right, because now we're excited for them. We've been waiting on Toxic Attraction here to come up for a while, and they are. I mean, now granted they were given Mandy Rose to kind of help those two out, but you're watching a lot of these. Again, I don't mean to call them minor leaguers because the NXT is awesome, but you're excited for them to come up. And especially the other thing that Triple H did here that was brilliant. One of Vince's biggest faux pas was always whenever somebody returned, they were just gifted a championship because thanks for coming back. Here's the Intercontinental.
Your title. Boom, boom.
And I thought, especially with Gunther being on Intercontinental, that seemed like really, really low hanging fruit.
Oh yeah.
To just be like, here, Braun, do this. But Triple H has steadfast. He kept the belts where they were. Now he put them, the ones that he changed. Rollins recently got a belt. Asuka and Bliss recently got a belt. These were long-standing, well-deserved belts. No one was just gifted one.
Yeah.
And so it really feels like. The veterans have earned their keep. The young guys are going to come up and organically earn it. And it feels like a sport again. Whereas at the end of Vince's era, it felt like just a soap opera. It just felt like we knew what was going to happen. Heel was going to get the upper hand initially. Then face was going to win one. Then heel was going to cheat. Then face had to decide, do I cheat or do I win honestly? And then there would either be a turn or it would just fizzle out. Yeah, same dance 1,000 times.
Yeah, and then a part-timer comes in, and then we get Roman and Brock.
Goldberg or some nonsense like
or
that.
Goldberg,
right.
Every other pay-per-view.
It feels like it's competitive again, and we get what it is. We're not sitting here saying, they've somehow changed what's going on behind the scenes. we understand what WWE is, but it just, the whole point is what it feels like to the audience, and it feels like sports entertainment now, which is the whole point at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we said that too. We said that the product was going to improve when you got a guy that actually was a wrestler and actually understands the intricacies of the psyche, the mindset that goes into storylines and long-term storylining. Like, and let's call a spade a spade. Cody, I still see it. Cody's gonna be the one to dethrone Roman. I still feel like it should be Seth. It just makes too much sense, especially with the Shield Brotherhood as a full circle moment. But we'll save that for another time and place. He had a great interview too recently as well, where he was very candid. He was like, I feel like Roman is Hulk and I'm macho. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never gonna be the guy, and I've accepted it. I mean, but Seth is a legend. Right. Seth is a first ballot legend, and he's always been he was my favorite of the Shield from day one, because I was like, that guy can wrestle.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So like the video, subscribe to the channel. We can do wrestling talk forever. That's why.
Absolutely.
That's all this. We're gonna segue now into football. Can I get a JETS Jets? And can I get a how about them Cowboys? Please.
Yeah.
Dallas Go Boy is here. He is here. He's here. U-Goboy's here. Dallas Go Boy is here. But we are going to start with some Jets talk, and we'll save this Dallas Go Boy. That guy's a psycho. We'll save him for a little later on. Your Jets, you guys recently just and by the time this drops, we'll probably it's going to drop in a couple weeks. But by the time you guys will probably have 2 more games on your belt when this one drops. But you guys recently just dropped a tough one to the Patriots again.
and that's I'll talk about that in a minute. But and I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that?
I'm not mad.
Can I get a JTS Jets for that? 13th straight loss to Bill aside, you guys are still trending upwards. I love what Robert Saleh's doing. I love what you guys did in Green Bay. You know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers.
You're welcome.
And the PTSD that man has given me and trauma he's given Cowboy Nation in the playoffs in 2014 and 2016. So thank you so much. Sauce Gardner, thanks for wearing the cheese head.
Oh, that was Sauce.
Like all
bringing some spirit to the Jets finally.
Yeah, put some sauce on that cheese. I love it. I love it. Juice versus Sauce, streaming on all digital platforms. But I love what you guys have done, especially on the road. Again, we talked about it on the last Sports Talk, but your impressions on Robert Saleh. I know you guys just lost Breece Hall for the season, but you guys got Robinson from the Jags. How do you think you guys can sneak in as a wild card this year? I think it's not. I wouldn't rule it out. I'm not ruling it out. I think you guys can get in as a wild card. But what are your thoughts? How do you think? How do you see this thing halfway into the season with your Jets?
So right off the bat, let's just make the final statement first. I love us. 25-year, as a Jet fan, this is the happiest times ever. And I mean, the bar is low. I mean, it's basically either Pennington, Sanchez, or this. But this is the best time for sure. I think a wild card is definitely obtainable, especially when you see like Cincinnati. Now, granted, Jamar Chase is an excellent player, but when you see other teams get the tiniest bit of adversity and they just fold. Meanwhile, the Jets hit some adversity. Before Elijah Vera Tucker went down, he was like, I can play left tackle. Sure, why not? And now he's down, but Breece Hall goes down. We go out and we make the trade for James Robinson, like you said. The Jets seem more willing to attack adversity than a lot of the other, like 5 through 10 range teams, and that's going to matter. That's going to definitely be important in that one accidental loss to the Texans the Bengals might have, or that one accidental upset of the Dolphins the Jets might have, or something of that nature. So I think by sheer will alone, the wild card is definitely obtainable. I love what their young guys are doing. I love what Robert Saleh is doing. We never expected this year because we're a year away on every side of the ball. We know true. That, especially on the offensive line. There's no secret. Pretty much 2 of their first 3 or 4 picks need to be tackles next year. Yeah. We know what we're doing with the next draft already. You saw Saleh just get coached under the table by Belichick. And, honestly, I'm kind of glad Breece Hall wasn't there because we know that Belichick loves to take away one piece of the game. And in all likelihood, he was going to take away Breece Hall. And not only would that have exposed Breece's weakness to the rest of the league, it would have forced Zach Wilson to gunsling, which is never going to end well for anybody. No. So the fact that presumably Garrett Wilson was the easiest guy for Belichick to try and take out, and he still went 6 for 115. There's a lot of good to take away from that loss. So win, lose, anything, you got to be happy with what you're learning, each week. Now, if I'm nitpicking in anywhere, I'm not a fan of the Jacob Martin trade there. He was a questionable 3-4 linebacker for many years on the Texans. The Jets sign him this year, finally figure out what to do with him, and then trade him to Denver after they move Bradley Chubb. And so figuring out how to finally unlock this guy and then send him to a spot where he's going to need to be played in that exact same role, we're going to look back, unfortunately, the optic on that trade is going to look stupid. So unfortunately, that's just the truth. But, if that's my biggest problem, we shouldn't have moved on from a depth lineman. Yeah, I'm obviously happy with where we are right now.
For sure. Another JTS Jets for those Jets.
Woo, love it.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Before I go get this maniac Dallas Schoolboy, let's talk about 3 teams that I'm surprised yet very happy about because I hate all 3 of these teams.
I already know which 3 teams this is going to be. All right, I'm ready.
The Packers,
1,
the Bucks,
2,
and the Rams.
3
for 3 there. This guy knows. It's like you know me. He went to Jared.
It's like I know Cowboy fans. Let's be real.
Exactly.
You can't be happy about the Eagles or Giants right now, so it would have to be elsewhere.
But the Eagles, we'll play them. We'll see at Christmas. We'll see at Christmas. Christmas Eve. We got some for Philadelphia. But those. So what is going on here? Because we talked about this again on the last Sports Talk. What the hell is happening with Aaron Rodgers? Is he like taking peyote up in the mountains or something? He's throwing his wide receivers under the bus. How do they look without Devontae? Matter of fact, how does Devontae look without Aaron is the real question because he's over 2-5 over there in Vegas.
Very true.
And he's killing me in fantasy. Like, where's my camera? Devontae Adams, you are killing me in one of my fantasy leagues. The one league that I really want to win, 36th chamber with my brother. You're killing me, but please keep shooting those Taco Bell commercials. Anyway, what the hell's going on with the Packers? What's going on with the Bucks? Well, we know what's going on with Brady's marriage, but what's going on with the Bucks? And what's going on with the Rams? Why are these 3 teams that I thought, again, was going to be the class of the NFC, I don't know who makes the playoffs out of those 3. The Bucks definitely have the inside track because they play in the worst division. And the Rams also play in a weak division, believe it or not. But who makes the playoffs out of those 3 teams, and what's going on with those 3 teams?
Let me start with the easiest one because, first of all, it answers your question, but secondly, they're the easiest ones to diagnose, and that would be the Bucks. I agree with you completely. It's by sheer path that the Bucks have the easiest way in. The Falcons are this is not sustainable. I love them. It's awesome.
Give me a Savage, please.
Sorry.
Two of them, please.
Sorry. It's just, they're not going 9-8. The Panthers are actively trying to. PJ Walker's awesome. Jersey native PJ Walker, I believe. But they're actively trying to lose, and the Saints pick a different quarterback or pick a different way to use Taysom Hill every week. So, the Bucks are going to accidentally win that division with about 9 or 10 wins. What's going on there is simply, Tom Brady is that jock in high school who accidentally did well enough in English one year that he got moved up to the honors class, and he walked in on day 1 and said, Where are all my other jocks? Where is everybody? Gronk is no longer there, and he lost his buddy Ryan Jensen up front, and that has just been a monumental loss. Ali Marpet retired, and he's just looking around and going, where are my other buddies? And he can't seem to. I don't know if it's that he can't seem to figure out this new group he has, or if eventually, if you've ever been at a job for too long, anybody, this feeling. You look around and you go. This is now my 3rd generation of people who have come and gone. I'm now like 15 years older than everybody. And to be quite frank, I just don't have the patience to reinstate this group into what they need to know and also what our culture is around here. I'm out. And I feel like that's finally Brady. He just doesn't have the energy to take this. I mean, for him, this is like the 4th generation. when you look at the average life of a football player, this is like the 4th generation that has come and gone below him. And eventually you just give up. You just say, you guys do whatever makes you happy. I'm going to do what my job is. I'll meet you on the other side. And so I think that's basically what happened. Brady is just literally by age, too torn apart from his team. His old guys are gone. He's disinterested. I think he's done after this year. But they're still good enough in a bad enough division. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
The Packers, I would love to say, it's a 50-50. It's 50% god-awful receiving core. It's 50-50 with all the injuries on the O-line. So at least that one's partly explainable. It's what's inexcusable is that they decided that a pair of rookies and Randall Cobb just being friends with Aaron Rodgers was going to be enough to somehow produce offense. And then the fact that they don't run A.J. Dillon 1,000 times a game when that roster clearly looks like it was built to run the ball 1,000 times a game. It doesn't have to be Aaron Dillon. It could be Aaron Jones as well. Sorry, A.J. Dillon. But they're just doing too much. If they would just settle in, become the running team that they are built to, they should be trying to win games 10-3, and they are not. They're still trying to let Aaron Rodgers sling, and it's not going to go well. So they just need to find who they are. And for them particularly, I'm gonna guess here. Whenever Rodgers has a get-right game, it's against somebody in the division. They have the Lions coming up this week. I know, like you said, by the time it airs, it's going to be past that. I'm going to take a guess this is going to be a classic RELAX game for Rodgers. He's going to dominate the Lions, and they're going to be fine moving forward. So I'm actually going to guess they're going to make it in as a wild card as well. Can I take a pass on the Rams?
You can take a pass on them.
I don't know. This let's just pull a name out of a hat and they're my running back strategy by the Rams is nonsense. This we don't need to replace a Hall of Fame left tackle theory is nonsense. This we only need one wide receiver.
Savages, please.
Is nonsense.
Savage.
They're a team that bought into the media narrative too well. The narrative last year was if we win a championship, this thing can fall apart and we have to be cool with it. They made a deal with the devil last year. It paid off, and they accepted the devil side of the deal. Now it's the part where they're supposed to fall off. And it's very natural. I mean, the Super Bowl hangover is certainly a real thing and a recurring thing, but they almost seem complacent in it. They seem like, okay, we won. We're cool not doing some of the most obvious tweaks. Letting Beckham walk and not even considering bringing him back, letting Robert Woods walk. I can't even name half of their receiving core. They let Everett walk. They let a ton of bodies go with very little effort to replace. They don't have the draft capital to get it back. So no, I don't see them making the playoffs.
And would you look who just showed up? Mongo, can you please hand me my belt?
I most certainly
hand
can.
me my belt. For those who don't know who I am, who've been living under a rock, it's Dallas Go-Boy.
How about that?
You know what? I'm having it's so hard for me to sit here in this studio, listen to these cowboy haters hollering my name when I've spent more money on spilled liquor. Let me stop right there. You talking to? Listen, life is good right now. 6-2 on our bye week. When this airs, hopefully we'll have another win over that jerk, Aaron Rodgers. I just hate his face. I hate his face. I hate his hair. I hate his stupid goatee. He looks like Nicolas Cage out of rehab.
That's
savage.
100% correct.
Like, kick rocks. How's that record doing you? But Chicago Bears, how'd Tony Pollard do for you guys? I mean, and Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Eagles, take the glasses off dramatically for this. The Philadelphia Eagles, we got something for you on Christmas Eve. As God is my witness, we do. If we don't, this is going to look terrible on the playback. But we have something for you. So enjoy that win over Cooper Rush. Put the glasses back on. So life is good right now. Tony Pollard's running the rock. Zeke is coming back. Dak Prescott. Can I get some Ric Flair woos for Dak Prescott? Dak Prescott is balling. He's balling. I said he was a top 10 quarterback. I don't look crazy. I don't look too crazy saying that. He's balling right now. The boys look good. They're going to take this bye week. Micah Parsons. The Lion is always hungry. He's balling. Best defensive player in football. The Cowboys are rolling. And that bye week, it's going to go well. And then afterward, we got Packers, we got Vikings, we got Philadelphia. We got a lot of NFC East games to go. But playoffs. I can say it. I don't want to jinx it, but whatever. I'm me. And you know the motto, you haters. You might not like it. Take the glasses off dramatically. But you will learn to love it. How about them Cowboys?
Always love when that guy comes by. My favorite guest. I am a guest, and he's still my favorite guest somehow.
What I will say, you covered a lot of good points there. Letting Devontae Adams go with the Packers and replacing him with Alan Lazard and a whole bunch of practice squad guys, and like you said, I remember a couple shows ago, a couple players that get to say that they played with Aaron Rodgers.
Right, exactly.
Not the wisest move, but again, they play in the NFC North, so they very well could sneak in as a wild card, and they still run the ball very well, so they've got that going for them. Not to mention, what I will say about this whole debate with the Cowboys and the running back situation. Tony Pollard has never carried the ball for more than 15 carries ever. Not in college, not in high school, not at Memphis, not in Dallas. The way Dallas has it right now is very similar to the way the Saints had it a couple years ago with Ingram and Kamara. You can use both. You can use two running backs. There's no rule against that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, Zeke, I'm not expecting 2016 Zeke because this is 22 Zeke. You know what I mean? The carries and mileage has caught up with him, but he's still a really good short yardage back. He's still a good back in certain situations. If it's cold, he can still get 25 carries and still give you what you need to win a football game. And in the playoffs, considering they're probably going to have to go on the road to a place that's not AT&T, I want Zeke fresh. I'm glad he sat out this game against the Bears, and I'm glad he's going to sit out this bye week as well to get healthy because they're going to need him for December, potentially January football. So Mike McCarthy, can I get a round of applause for Mike McCarthy? I've given him a lot of crap on this show and on other podcasts, but Mike is doing a phenomenal job of coaching this team. They weathered that storm with Uber driver Rush. He's back to his backup ways. And, Dak Prescott, can I get another Ric Flair woo for Dak? Dak looks great. CeeDee Lamb is coming into his own. That connection's getting better. Dallas is playing really good ball right now. And that defense, Dan Quinn, I've said it before, I'll say it again if he's here next season with the way he's going. He's done a great job with this defense, and they are an elite unit. They are a Super Bowl caliber unit right now. The question is going to be, though, come playoff time, can they rise to the occasion? Because that has been the pitfall for Dallas for a number of years now. Even in 2014, go back to 2007 when the Giants had that miraculous run. Come playoff time, this team doesn't keep that same energy. They got to keep that same energy. They absolutely do. And I think with guys like Micah, I'm not worried about him. Micah has that energy rolling out of bed. He's ready to hurt somebody. And they need that. So I like where they are. I like where they're trending. I'm very interested to see that Christmas Eve matchup. We'll probably be live and direct from AT&T Stadium for it. But it should be fun. It absolutely should be fun. And the other point you had made about the Rams, you got to keep in mind, Albert Breer just reported this recently as well. Spoiler alert. McVay is very tied to this current core in LA. And this core meaning Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Cooper Kupp. The second one or two of those guys either bolts or the drop-off is precipitous, McVay's out. He's not going to be in for a rebuild because you gotta think, just use some common sense here. They've traded away their number one pick for a number of years now.
Right.
So you've gone all in. And when you go all in, they got their championship. Congratulations. Slow clap. You won the Super Bowl last year. But all in is not a long-term sustainable plan. It's not. Going for broke is just that. You go for broke, you might get rich, but if you lose it all, you're going to go for broke again? I don't see him sticking around. I'm kind of with Albert Breer on that. I see when Aaron Donald decides to hang it up, because he's not going to play another 5 years. Right. He damn near retired this season after the Super Bowl. And we'll see what happens with Cooper. Cooper Kupp is the real deal. I'm not really sold that Stafford's going to stick around for another 5 years. I don't think his body can hold up another 5 years. I mean, he's hurt now. He's currently playing injured with a borderline catastrophic elbow injury that almost took away this season. And he damn near had to have Tommy John surgery in the offseason. So the Rams have this window now and they very well might sneak into the playoffs as well. But I don't see them set up long term as a lot of people who thought that this model was going to work for 3 to 4 years. Originally I thought they had a 3 to 4 year window. I was wrong. I think it's more like a 2 to 3 year window, especially with this offensive line. That needs an overhaul because Dallas beat them up. San Francisco beat them up twice. They play in your division. They're going to beat you up again next year twice. they're not built for the long haul. They're just not.
Which goes even back further to my original point, which is why not, if no one's going to be here in 3 years, as scorched as the earth is right now, you can just go nuclear. Why not throw that 7th round pick at like a Kenny Galladay type? Why are they're leaving so many holes for a team that needs so much so fast? Throw those 3rd-day picks out. I mean, I know you don't have many left, but whatever you have left in the draft arsenal, throw it out there. Bring in OBJ. Bring in who's ever still out there on free agency. Just if you're, any 32-year-old who knows how to win a championship, congratulations, you're hired. It seems like they are going to be okay. It seems like there's 2 different messages. There's the message that, Breer gave, which I tend to agree with as well. But then there's the, you know what, we'll build this thing. We'll get a couple linemen each year. We'll add another receiver next year. We'll take a look at free agency in a couple years. And the messages just don't mix.
No, and not to mention San Francisco is doing that.
Yeah.
They've done that with McCaffrey. They gave up, 3 picks to acquire McCaffrey? Like 2 2s, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, a 10.
Very fun. Some very fun trades this year, by the way.
Exactly. And by the way, trade season in general was bonkers. Brandon Cooks is angry that he didn't get traded.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. He wanted to come to Dallas. Bradley Chubb is in Miami. Miami's going all for it. And I look at the way Miami's going about it. Mind you, they at one point, they turned 3 picks into Waddle, into Tyreek Hill, and into Bradley Chubb. You want to talk about a savage and a woo? Is it Scott Poles? Is the GM for the Dolphins?
Ooh, that sounds right.
Ryan Poles? I forget his name.
Definitely Poles.
Yeah, definitely Poles. Mr. Poles.
We'll call him that.
From the Miami Dolphins GM. Masterclass on how to maximize draft capital. And you look at the flip side, very similar to the Rams. Look at San Francisco now. Mm-hmm. Mind you don't know what you have with Trey Lance, and you probably won't until next year. They're going to give him as much time as they can because they invested 3 first-round picks into acquiring him. You know what I mean? But you gave up you basically don't have a draft next year because you're hitching your wagon to McCaffrey, who's oft injured, to Deebo Samuel, who's also injured right now, to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Who is Jimmy Garoppolo? He is his own adjective, which is impressive.
He's his own adjective, noun, verb, whatever, past participle. Like, Lord. So they are the San Fran's going for it all in. And it very well might work out for them. But they might find themselves in a very similar position. My brother's a 49er fan. I warned him. I'm like, listen, you guys got McCaffrey, but think about this. You guys don't have a draft next year. You don't. And you got to pay Nick Bosa. You've already paid Deebo, but think about prorate this over 2 to 3 years. And if Lance is the Lance that we've seen before he got hurt, you're basically signing up for another 3 to 4 to 5 years of Garoppolo. How far do you think you guys are going to go? And even as wide open as the NFC is, you still need a quarterback. That hasn't changed. As wide open as the NFC is right now, you still need a quarterback. So this is going to be fun. We're at the halfway point. By the time we shoot our next sports talk, we'll be wrapping up the 3rd quarter of the season. And then January, Hunger Games start. So
can't wait.
Sheesh.
Bart Scott, can't wait.
Bart Scott, for sure. I mean, who real quick about Denver. I'd like another. How do you feel about how's Let's Ride, Denver Broncos. Let's ride. How the Broncos doing?
I'm gonna put this into a different perspective every time I'm here. If the Broncos played every game nationally, so the whole country could get in on it, and it was one of those vote now kind of things, like on American Idol, press 1 if you want them to run the ball, press 2, it would probably be going better. It's unbelievable how poorly that team is run. It was one thing when the team was poorly coached because, okay, sometimes you bring in a guy, you think he was the answer at the place he was at. Like, they clearly thought Hackett was the brains in Green Bay. He clearly was not. It was somebody below him or somebody next to him, or it was, having Aaron Rodgers. It was not him. Okay, fine, that happens sometimes. You give too much credit. But for the front office to literally look at it for 7 games and go, nope, let's blow it up instead. How little faith?
Savage, please, savage.
How little
Savage.
faith do you have in everyone in front of you, including yourself, to say less than half one season, everything I've done is wrong? Let's just completely own up to that. I mean, if it gets them somewhere quicker, hey, bravo. That's humility at its finest. But I don't think so. I think it's genuinely a franchise that from top to bottom has no clue what it's doing right now.
And they're tied to Russ for a number of years.
And a number of dollars.
And a number of dollars and a number of picks. They're in a tough spot. I mean, and look at Vegas. I mean, God, look at you called it. AFC West is it's like an adult and 3 interns.
It was supposed to be fun.
It was not supposed to be like this. Kansas City is just licking their chops, and it's just like, my camera one more time, Devontae Adams, please.
Do something.
It's not supposed to be like this, man. Like, those Taco Bell commercials are funny. Like, I'd like a Chick-fil-A in my house, but God, like, I lost. This is how bad it is, all right? We'll wrap with this. This is how bad it is. So I lost a game in one of my fantasy leagues where I was Patrick Mahomes was on his bye week, so I had to find a quarterback. So I'm like, all right, Derek Carr, he's a fantasy darling. Let me grab him. That face. Giving him Mongo's face. So I had Devontae Adams and Derek Carr. They gave me a combined, I think Adams gave me 0.2 of a point because he had 1 catch for 5 yards. And Carr gave me 2 points because he had, I think, 2 interceptions and no touchdowns. And I lost to my cousin who's not even paying attention to the league. His quarterback, Herbert's on a bye week. And his kicker didn't score because he had Carlson as well. I lost to someone who's not even paying attention to their fantasy team. That's how bad Devontae Adams hurt me.
Led astray, run amok, and flat out deceive.
Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. You know what I mean? By the way, quick before we wrap too, I am working on his show now. No Mercy. Shout out to my boy Greg over at Cadence 13. Actually, when I leave here, I got more editing to do. Yeah, working with Stephen A. Smith, bloviating, histrionics, all that good stuff. But fun
That's
times,
awesome, man.
fun
Congrats.
times, fun
That's
times.
great.
Thank you. Get a round of applause. So once again, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for, as always, our subscribers, old subscribers, new subscribers. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, grab the merch. Me and Mongo will be back for more sports talk. We got more football on the way. Pitchers and catchers are going to report at some point. We're saying that as the World Series is going along.
It's crazy.
That's
Baseball's so nuts.
Wild
I love
times.
it.
Wild times. But love you guys as always. You guys have been awesome. And as always, that's the belt. That's the other belt. That's Mongo. I'm U-Goboy. Whoa. Hey, this a vibe, nigga. Whoa. Woo. Secure the bag, I need more. Hey, 3P, Jordan. Whoa. Woo. I can't keep it on a low. This a whole vibe. I don't need a plug, no cosign. Thinking out loud, that's a gold mine. Mask on, yeah, COVID-19. Baby mama, yeah, looking like Rihanna. Rest in peace to George, rest in peace Brianna. Still kicking like Van Damme with my niggas in Amsterdam. You go, boy. Yahtzee.